Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to our live session. Um, as you know, it's every week for those who are clients. We actually have a live session where we educate you about all things related to relocation abroad. And for those who are joining us publicly, every month we always have a webinar whereby we talk about crucial topics. And today we want to actually talk about another topic, another very interesting topic, because um, we're meant to have this for some time right now. But the topic for today that we want to talk about is 2024 Canada Express entry draws, analysis and prediction for PR permanent residents, especially talking about CRS scores, cumulative ranking system scores, the new draws that we have seen for this year and the next ones we hope to see, and all other things related to express entry, especially related to its draws. So without wasting much time, we'll dive into it after we run a little introduction. So, I am Aziz from Ontario, Canada. Please, anywhere you are joining us from, kindly put it on the comment section. Let us know where you are joining us from, and let us know if at all during the conversation. If you have any questions at all, you can drop it on the comment section, and we'll do justice to actually responding to that which we can. So, that being said, as you see it on the slides, if you can see my slides, let me know. If you can actually hear me audibly, if my voice is audible. For those that are joining on StreamYard, for those that are also joining on YouTube, then please, if you can't hear on StreamYard, go on YouTube. If you We have shared you the links already for especially our clients that are on, you understand, on our WhatsApp groups. So that being said, today we want to talk about the new plans of Canada, what you should expect from now on, analysis and predictions about all other draws that have been um, drawn recently. So the main business for today is that we want to talk about the express entry system. We'll run a little overview about what express entry system is all about. We would also talk about analysis of recent draws. How exactly do some of us feel as if, okay, we know that this kind of time IRCC is meant to actually put a draw? How exactly do we come about those conclusions? We are going to be sharing them with you today. Factors influencing your CRS scores, we would also talk about it. We'll talk about provincial nominee programs, PMPs, and express entry. What's kind of the linkage between the both of them? We'll talk about impact of policy changes on draws. We'll talk about express entry predictions. How do we even predict what are we expecting for this year before it actually rounds up? And we'll give you insights on how to prepare for an express entry draw. How exactly should you prepare for it? And lastly, we'll talk about the Q&A sessions. We'll answer questions that you may possibly have. Whilst you are joining us, put it on the comment section, your name and your location where you are joining us from, so that we know that people are actually listening in and getting what we are doing today. So, firstly, who is this for? Who exactly are we talking about, or who are we talking to when we are, you understand, taking this webinar session? Firstly, if you are someone that you are an aspiring temporary traveler, whether you want to come into Canada as a visitor, as a student, you understand, as a worker, or a permanent immigrant willing to learn and understand what all immigration is about, this is for you. If you don't have any travel history at all, but you are just tired of your home country and you want to, in the terms of Africa, Japan, then this is for you. If you're an African, a Caribbean, an European, an Asian, an American, Australian, at home or abroad, especially for those that are already students in other countries, that are already workers in other countries. Like, for instance, today I still got someone reach out to me, you understand, from the US, who wants to actually move from the US to Canada. This is for someone like that. If you are a current international student in Canada, in the UK, in US, in Australia, in Germany, for some instance, for some people, for instance, people in the UK, they do reach out, students reach out that, oh, I want to also come into Canada and become a permanent resident. How do I go about it? Then this is a webinar you need to actually watch. If you're a temporary foreign worker who is working for a Canadian company, an American company, or a UK company, or any other companies around the world, then this is for. If you're a spouse with an open or closed work permit and you can't become PR easily, a PR resident easily in Canada, this is. But if you're a visitor or a tourist abroad with a visa whose 3 to 6 months visa validity is fast ending, then this is definitely for you. If you're even thinking of seeking asylum already and you want to stay back permanently in Canada, this is for you. If you are a sole immigrant, a single parent or family with a kid or children, or even with maids as well, then this is for you. If you are a tech or health professional, a digital nomad, manager, director, or supervisor, then this is for you. If you are a business owner, you understand, a self-employed, a seasoned investor, wealthy immigrant, or expatriate, then this is for you. If you are a recent national or foreign graduate, you understand, aspiring to build a career in Canada permanently, then this is for you. If you're an engineer, scientist, doctor, teacher, or lawyer, or truck driver, or salesperson, this is for a tradesperson as well. You understand, like a carpenter, a tailor, a plumber, a painter, hairstylist, barber, and so on. This is for you. If you don't even have any certificates and at all, no diploma, no degree like NCO, NDH, NDBS, CMSC, or PhD. Some of you don't even have any of those DDDs, and you just want to, or maybe you are still in school, but you are planning to actually immigrate after your studies, then this is for you. If you are struggling with express entry due to old age, whether you are 40 plus, 50 plus, or even 60 plus, then this is for you. If you are without any IELTS, or you even have IELTS results, or CLP results, PTAs, or TEF Canada, TCF Canada, DEF results, and it is quite low, then this is for you. If you are an English or a French speaker, a learner, and you want to have that time, you don't have that time or willingness to learn, this is for. If you have been rejected or refused a visa application before, or you don't even have time, you don't have any willingness to learn, you understand, this again is for you. And if again you are someone that you have gotten banned in recent time, you have gotten rejected, refused, you understand, and in the past times you have been in Canada and the UK, then this is for you. Thank you, Mr. Olubenga from Ogun State and from Mr. Chinedu from Lagos State. So let's move on. That's just a little introduction. Why do you need to listen to me, especially for those that are part of our clients already? They already know many of this information about us. But for you that are just joining maybe on YouTube, because as I said, this is a webinar, so other people from the public are also listening in. If you are, I was a first time, who is A.O.S? A.O.S stands for Aziz Olariwaju Shodero. I was a first time successful Canadian PR immigrant. I'm also still studying in the United Kingdom in UK, you understand, as a graduate student for my master's. But again, I am also an international French language teacher. I teach people in different countries the French language, whether be it Anglophone speakers, people that speak English, or even Francophones, those that just want to prepare for TEF or TCF or DEF examinations. I've been able to mentor tech experts from 20 plus countries across various continents on micromentor.org, from Zambia, from France, from Italy, from Nigeria, from Angola, Ghana, Australia, and places like that. I've also assisted 350 plus students and immigrants to actually migrate to Canada, you understand, or to actually help them go for their further studies abroad. I'm also a graphic and web designer for past Nigerian companies. I'm a common law partner by relationship, a data scientist by current profession, and I'm also a travel business owner in Ontario, Canada, registered fully in Ontario to actually work. But all this, I wanted to actually talk about my own Express Entry story, Express Entry being EE, the abbreviation. Now, when it comes to Express Entry, people feel that it's quite difficult to actually, and truthfully, I shouldn't even sweet quote it. It's quite difficult to actually get selected. But there's always a process. There's a process that you have to follow through. I, for instance, followed the process that I'm going to be explaining to you today. You understand? And as a result of that, on my Express Entry profile, you understand that I created under the pool of the Canada immigration, I was able to get selected. I was able to get invited. Firstly, I got invited, and this was my provincial or territorial interest letter. I was invited by Ontario to actually send in a full application under Ontario to, you understand, come into the province as a permanent resident. Later on, after like a month or like few weeks after that, in June 2022, as you can see the date there, June 2022 was when I got the Ontario invitation. But I also got around September, okay, September 2022, that of the invitation of Quebec. And from that of Quebec, I had actually started that of Ontario. I started applying to Ontario, so I didn't even need to get to approve or to accept the invitation of Quebec. So I left it be and focused on that of what? That of the Ontario immigration program. And later on, because people always find it difficult to understand what invitation or interest letter means and what nomination means. They are two different things. You first get an interest letter or an invitation letter from a province. When that province now tells you to send in your full application and you have sent it, that is when they would first of all analyze and check your eligibility and check how well you fit into their province. Once they see that yes, you are a good fit, then they will issue you another letter. And this was the letter that was issued to me by Ontario. They issued me another letter, and this letter is what we know as what? Nomination approval letter, under the express entry what? French speaking skilled worker stream. So people always think that PMP is quite different from express entry, or you understand, you cannot align PMP to express entry. You can, you understand, and that is what I did. Because if you look at that, I went through the PMP nomination, but it was linked to what? Federal Skilled Worker Program, which is the FSWP ITA. So after I got the nomination, applying for a PMP that is linked to express entry, especially the PMPs they called the what? The enhanced provincial nominee programs. It is linked to express entry. So that means your profile on the express entry will still be active. You understand? While the province that selected you is processing your application, it will still be active. So after you have actually gotten that nomination from a particular province, that province would now require you to go back to your express entry profile and to put the PMP nomination that you got from that province into the what? Into the pool, into the profile, into that profile that you have. And that is exactly what I did. When I got the nomination, I now had to show that yes, I have gotten a nomination by sending these two letters, the nomination approval letter and the confirmation of nomination after I have approved the nomination. And with those two letters, I sent it to what? To what do you call it? To federal government of Canada under the express entry pool. And with that, they were able to what? They were able to update my application. And they updated my application because that time I remember that I had like 493 thereabout CRS points. But with the over 600 points I got, with the 600 points I got from the nomination, it was above 1,000, you understand, scores. And that was that was already more than even what they were picking as at that time, because they were picking 500 above, 500 CRS above. So with that, I got nominated, and as they say, the rest is history. I was able to apply, able to come into Canada with what I got, which was the nomination from a particular province. And thus, I want to explain to you now all those processes. Even before you get nominated, what are the things you need to focus on? What do you need to understand by the express entry system? And this is why we are giving a general overview for those who don't really know or those who want to learn about it. When we are talking about the express entry system overview, this express entry we are all talking about now is just a program that was launched by the government of Canada in January 2015. You understand? And its main purpose is to actually streamline and expedite the process of selecting skilled workers for immigration to Canada. So there will be thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are qualified. You understand? But they don't pick everyone that is qualified. They don't pick everyone that is on the pool. They pick selected few. And in time past, people feel it is the best of the best they pick. Yes, still, it is still like the best of the best, but they pick people, you understand, based on three different programs. The Federal Skilled Worker Program, which was the program they selected me from linked to the PMPs, the Federal Skill Trades Program (FSTP), the Canadian Experience Class Program, the CEC. Now, some of these provincial nominee programs, some of the provincial nominee programs I talked about, like the Ontario that I said selected me, it aligns with express entry. You understand? So you can get nominated, candidates can get nominated through that program in order to meet the specific provincial labor market needs of that particular what, of that particular province. So let me now explain it to you. You can be someone that normally you are not qualified. So normally you may not be picked by a particular province before. Normally, do you understand? But by virtue of I mean, you may not be picked by the federal government of Canada before, but by virtue of you focusing on provincial nominee programs, PNPs, you may get selected by a particular province, and that province will now be like a kind of first level, what they call it, first level province that would fight for you basically on the federal government to get you into Canada as a permanent resident. Many of us, like for instance, I've given you instance of myself. I got selected by Ontario and Quebec. As at then, I was not able, in fact, the first time I applied, I did not even have the opportunity to get into the express entry pool. Do you understand? Because my scores were low. Do you understand? The second time I tried it, I was able to enter, but I had like 390 something, which was very low. Is it 390 or 370 something, 379? It was low. You understand? But if you go through the provincial nominee program route, you may actually get to fulfill the labor market needs of a particular province and later get selected under them. But again, today we want to talk about the CRS, which is the dynamic point-based system that assesses and ranks candidates in the express entry pool. Now, you have to know something. The CRS score, it determines the candidates that will receive invitation to apply for permanent residence. Before, it was people that had the highest CRS. But we have had situations. There's one international student, for instance, that is in Canada that I got the opportunity to speak with. He has about 480 something points and he has not been selected. And in this webinar, I will show you where some people have less than that score and they also got selected without having that much score. So it's not about how high your scores is, but how focused, how exactly the program that you are focusing on requires your expertise to actually, you understand, work or to you understand, to thrive in Canada. Again, someone is saying, I can't hear you, please. This is from Madam Monirat. Please, again, who exactly can hear me? All those that are on the StreamYard, those that are on YouTube, can you hear me? If you can hear me, please put it on the comment section. Let me know that you can. I can hear you. Oh, Mr. Jones, thank you very much. So I think, again, the gadgets that people use to join this live sessions are always the one at fault. I believe so, because even on the recorded videos, we always have the audios clearly, you understand, sounding. So maybe you should log in, log out, try to change your gadget. If it is the gadget that is having issue, maybe your phone or laptop or something, try to change it with another thing. Okay, now that we are done with the overview of express entry, let's talk about the analysis of recent express entry draws. And when I'm talking about recent express entry draws, I'm talking about the draws from like July last year. Do you understand? To July this year. So that's about a year. And the reason we are doing that is because we are going to show you again the express entry started what they know as the category-based selections, and I will explain that or what that means in a jiffy. But let's talk about this. They said the express entry system conducts regular draws, inviting candidates from the pool, the express entry pool, to apply for permanent residency. Now, the trends that happen, what happens basically in the CRS cutoff scores is that CRS cutoff scores will fluctuate. It's not always static. It is not like JAMB that they will say, okay, 200 points for this year. No, it doesn't work that way. It fluctuates. Even in a year, it can fluctuate 10, 15, 40 times. Do you understand? Based on the number of candidates that are in the pool and the immigration target set by IRCC. Even these targets that are set by IRCC, sometimes they may get to select people that are more than the target because they know that it's not everybody that will get to be approved of their visa or that would get that nomination or that will get that invitation or that approval. Do you understand? But again, generally, higher cutoff scores indicate a larger pool of higher ranking candidates. And as a result of that, there will be fewer invitations issued in a particular draw. This is very important. Let's take an instance of the example of some of the draws that we have here. If you look at February 13, for instance, there was a general draw. February 13, that is 283. The number 283, which is the last, if you go down, the last draw, you understand, as shown on the Canadian immigration website. February 13, 2024, there was a general draw. They picked 1,490 what? Invitations. And out of those people that they picked, there were five. The lowest CRS score was 535. If you look at that, that is a very high cutoff score, because there are a lot of people in the pool that have more than those scores. If we have a situation whereby people don't have up to 500, then definitely the scores will be low. Or if they take categories that are specific, that are not general, then the scores may be low. Do you understand? Recent trends have shown that there's a variation in CRS scores due to targeted draws. Now, this is where I'm going to. Targeted draws for specific programs. It is not all draws that we, for instance, at A.O.S Abroad focus on. It is not all draws we at A.O.S Abroad focus on. Why? Because there are some draws that, whether you like it or not, you cannot meet. It's just the truth. If you are not yet in Canada, even some people that are in Canada, like I told you of the case of the international student that is in Canada that has 480 something, see this 535 points. He can never be up to the general draws. They can never pick him because he has 482. Do you understand? They can never pick him because the scores that they were picking for general draws are high. So we, for instance, don't focus on general draws. We focus on what? Targeted draws. Targeted draws, like even healthcare. If you look at that healthcare, 284, I'm still talking about February 14, 2024. The healthcare occupations, the version 1, they picked people that had 422 points and above. Do you understand? That means the lowest ranking candidate had 422. But again, that is very high for especially people that are so old. Maybe people that they are adults, people that they have seniors. Let me use that word, seniors, 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus. That may be so hard for those kind of people to attain. Do you understand? So again, we select the kind of targeted draws we focus on that X percent. It's not all of them that we focus on. Now, invitation numbers, know that there is a rule of thumb. The larger draws with higher high TA numbers usually result in lower CRS cutoffs as more candidates are selected. Just like in the case of what? In the case of healthcare occupations. Look at it. From the general draws, only 1,490 people were selected. But when it came to the healthcare, 3,500 people were selected. Do you understand? That shows that if we have a larger draw, it will be as a result of a lower CRS score. And smaller draws with fewer ITAs will typically be led by higher cutoff scores, like in the general draws that we talked about earlier with 535 points. So those are the rule of thumbs you need to be seeing when you are looking at, you need to be watching for when you are looking at the X% entry draws. Now, the number of invitations of ITA is issued in each draw and would always be varying significantly. But the fact that you see a general draw today at 535 does not mean that the next draw that you will see will be at 535 too. It may be below that, it may be above that, it may be, do you understand the idea? So, but there are always some indications for you to know the kind of draws they are selecting, the amount of people that they will select. And again, there are always indications for you to know that, okay, this is what they are looking for, and this is what you too, as an applicant, as a candidate, should be focusing on. Now let's give some background details. Background details, especially about we talked about the targeted draws, we talked about the invitations, we talked about general invitation and healthcare invitation. Let's now look at it based on the IRCC portal. What are the kind of invitations that they can give out, and what are the kind of categories that you should be focusing, or you should be aware of, at least, to say the least? Firstly, when you are to create an Express Entry profile, there are always rounds of invitation you need to know that Canada selects. The first one is the general rounds of invitation, like the one we showed you now. You understand, where 535 people, 535 CRS score were actually pulled out. Now, in these general rounds of invitation, they pick the top ranking candidates in the pool, the people that have the highest scores. Do you understand? So most times you may not qualify as people that have the highest scores. Do you understand? Me, for instance, even though I said I had 490 something that time when I came into Canada, I was not part of the highest people. All those highest people are healing. They are there. Well, just to put humor. But these are people that maybe they have been in Canada before. You understand? They have studied in Canada before. Even some international students may not even be part of the hire. You understand? Like the case of the international student I said. But maybe they have been studied before. Maybe they have years of experience in Canada working already, or maybe they even have job offers. Do you understand? That have already made them get higher scores. Or maybe they have provincial nominee programs, like in my own situation when I told you that the provincial nomination I got, it skyrocketed my point to 1,000 plus. Do you understand? So with that, you can even be more qualified for the general draws. But to get started, don't focus on the number one general draws. Don't focus on those rounds of invitation. It will disappoint you. You will be vexed. You understand? So don't focus on that. Rather, focus on the program specific rounds of invitation. And yes, this is one way to actually streamline your focus. This program specific, again, they take the top ranking candidates, but these top ranking candidates are based on what? Are based on certain programs. Which certain programs are we talking about? If you are holding, as they say, for example, holding a round specifically for provincial nominee program, they would only invite, IRCC will only invite those that are eligible for the PMP. Now, again, some people always make the mistake in these program specific draws to now go and be focusing on draws that will say, okay, they need 600 people that have 600 points plus, people that are like, okay, seeing the situation in the number 296, May 30, the date May 30, 2024. They did a provincial nominee program draw that picked 2,985 candidates. But those candidates were people that had what? They had what? They had 676 CRS scores. 676 CRS scores. Now look at this. 676 CRS scores is even higher than the general draw of 535. Do you understand? So you should not focus at first. At first, don't focus on the PMP draws. At first, don't focus on that. You understand? It is if you have been granted a nomination by a province, that is when you can now start looking into that what? That PMP selection, which is the second category what? The second category of rounds of invitation. But if you have not yet been selected by a province, if that province has not yet processed your application, if you have not gotten a nomination by that province, rather focus on just the number 3, which is the category based rounds of invitation. Now, what are the category based rounds of invitation? Based on the immigration minister, Mark Miller, there has been an establishment, even since last year, not even this year, since 2023, there have been an establishment of various categories that meet specific economic goals. You understand? And they would rank those that are top ranking based on those categories. And for you to be eligible for that category, you must first of all be eligible for one of the 3 programs which we have talked about, the FSW, PFSTP, and CEC. But looking at this, what are those categories they selected? They selected number 1, French language proficiency. And you may be wondering, why did IRCC list French language proficiency as the number 1? We are going to show you with valid proof from the recent draws, from the analysis we have gone through, why they actually picked French as the number 1. Number 2, they picked the healthcare occupations. You understand? That means those that are in the healthcare, in the medical field. Number 3, those that are into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is the STEM occupations. Number 4, those that are into trade occupations, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are a plumber, you are a carpenter, you are anything that relates to trade, that is under number 4. Number 5, transport occupations. If you are doing one thing that relates to either you being in the railway, either you being in the bus, you understand, or you are actually riding trucks, or anything related to, you understand, driving, that is for transport occupations. And agriculture and agri-food occupations. Those are the last category of jobs. Now note, apart from these six categories, there are still some candidates under the provincial, as I said, or territorial nominations. And they said, IRCC has stated it on their website, that they will continue to invite candidates with provincial or territorial nomination. You understand? Not those that have expression of interest. Expression of interest is different from nomination. So nominations that they are selecting under the express entry is for people that have first applied to the province. They have first gotten the nomination from the province, just like I showed you my own instance of the one that I got from Ontario. Do you understand? So these candidates, as they say, have demonstrated that they have skills, education, and work experience that contributes to a province or a territory's economy. Now let's have an in-depth examination of 2024 and even 2023, not only even 2024 and 2023 draws as regards the one that we selected, which is the category-based selection. Now you have to understand that understanding the trends that have occurred over the years, over the months, it can help us know the potential candidates that are going to prepare their profile and that will have the highest chances of getting to have their ITAs. By monitoring the draw results and adopting the strategies that we will talk about in this webinar, you can also improve your own position in the express entry profile and enhance the prospect of a Canadian permanent residence. Now we have the program specific draws. These are draws that are occasionally conducted specifically to one of the three federal programs or that of the aligned PMPs. And again, the program specific draws often have different CRS cutoff scores compared to the general draws. Now, for instance, draws targeting the federal skill trades program or provincial nominee program might have lower cutoffs due to what? Fewer eligible candidates. Now let's look at the number one category of the people that they are expecting in Canada, people that they are waiting for in Canada, people that they need in Canada are people that have French language proficiency. And right from July 7 of last year, 2023, till July 18, 2024. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmed from Ibadan, Oyo State. Okay, he just joined us. We have seen a proliferation of selections of French language proficiency, people that have French language knowledge. If you look at July 7, the first time they started selecting French people, you understand, on the federal level, they have been selecting French from Ontario, for instance. I got selected through the French speaking program under Ontario PMP. We are not talking about provinces now. We are talking about federal government categories. The first people they picked were people that had CRS score of 439 points upward. Do you understand? That means the lowest person had 439 and they picked 2,300 people. Now, if we look from that number 1 to number 12, you'll see that there are different CRS points, different timings they pick, different invitations being issued, but there are some caveats that we'll see to it. Like July 7, they pick people. July 12, 2023, they pick people. July 8, they pick people. July 18, they pick. You look at that, okay, we have like about few days, 5 days, 10 days interval in between 1 and 2 and 11 and 12. If you look into 5 and 6, you see, okay, October 25 to December 7, 2023, there was like a kind of 2 months gap between October 25 to December 7, 2020. I just want you to see the differences between when they are selecting, who they are selecting, and how they are actually running their selections. Now, number 2, we have had just 5 draws as compared to 12 draws of the French. We have had just 5 draws selected for healthcare, right from June 28, 2023, which was last year, till July 5, 2024. So yeah, you'll be able to know that which of those occupations or which of those categories should you focus on. If you are an healthcare professional, you may focus on healthcare. If you are not and you want to change profession, you may be looking at it that, okay, is it even worth the change? You have to actually analyze that yourself. If you look at it, June 28, they picked even people that were higher in scores than the French. Do you understand? People that had higher scores, higher points than the French. 476 CRS points for just 500 people in June was quite more than what? That of the French. Though they have been reducing it from time to time, but even the last draw that was held on July 5 under the healthcare of this year 2024, they picked four people that had CRS points of 445 above, and the draws were kind of much were more 3,750. But this would make you see the one to focus on and how you can actually expect for yourself to actually get selected under the express entry. Now let's look at some other category specific draws based on observed trends. Number three, we have the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics occupation, the STEM occupations. Right from July of last year to this year, April, only three times have they drawn STEM occupations. Have they selected people under the STEM occupations? So July 5 was the first one, December 8 and April 11. If you look at those timings, you see that there have been some 4 to 5 months, you understand, wait time for those that are under the pool to actually get selected in STEM. And even as that, we have about 486 points CRS point to 491, which is more than even this the French language proficiency, and more than what the healthcare, you understand, the healthcare occupations. So it is the best of the best they are getting when it comes to the STEM occupations. Number four, we also have the trade occupations. Those that because you may be asking, how can I know that I'm eligible for some of these categories? To be eligible for that relates to French, you must have French language test results that show a minimum score of 7 in all the language abilities. That means in compréhension écrite, which is what's reading, in compréhension orale, which is listening, in expression écrite, which is writing, and expression orale, which is speaking. You must have all the 7 minimum band score, or as they say, niveau de compétence linguistique canadien, which are the NCLC levels. Some of you have not even known French up to that level, you understand, to be able to take the exam and write, you understand, very good exam to reach that level. And on that is why federal draws are more competitive than provincial draws. And that's why for those that have low CRS or low language test results, it may be worthwhile for them to apply under provinces as opposed to federal government. Now, if you are under the trade occupations, you must have accumulated, or whether it's not only trade occupations, if you are either under STEM occupations, trade occupations, transport occupations, or agriculture and agri-food occupations, you must have accumulated at least within the past 3 years 6 months of full-time continuous work experience, you understand, or the equivalent of part-time work experience in a single occupation listed in the table, you understand, below the table of either science, STEM, trade, transport, or agriculture. And it must be an experience you gathered, whether be it in Canada or whether in your home country or abroad or even in any other country you are working in. So trade occupations, the first they picked August 3rd, 2023 was 388 CRS scores, and they picked just 1,500 candidates. But in July 4, they picked 1,800 candidates with CRS score of 436. Some people may not be able to even have 430 points. We have had situations of one of our clients that she just had 430, even with her French. She was not able to have more than 436, but she doesn't need it most times, because for the trade occupations, she's not qualified for that. For the STEM occupation, she's not qualified. The healthcare herself, she was qualified, but they didn't pick her because, again, her cutoff or her scores were low. It was the French occupation that actually got to pick or select her, you understand, under the French occupations for July 8th, 2024. And that was when they picked people that had 420 points and above. But let's look at that of the transport occupations. If you are a truck driver, you are a railway attendant, you are things like that, you may qualify for this if You understand? You have within the range of 430 to 435 points, as you see that they have been consistent over the months. September 20 was the first selection, December 20 was the second selection, like 3 months gap. December 20 to March 13, that was again like 3 months gap. Some of you may not be able to wait that long to actually even see if you are selected, because there is no yet assurance of you even getting selected if they actually pick clients. So you must be tactical and be analytical in that. Now, looking at it again, the agriculture and agri-food occupations is the last category, whereby there were just three. If you look at it now, for the science, the trades, the transport, and the agriculture, those four, you understand, those four categories, they have just been three what do you call it, selections from last year June, or last year July, or last year August, last year September till this year. So that shows that you need to also be analytical, that okay, if you want to get selected, if you want that opportunity to be seen, to be given that ITA, you understand, do you have a higher chance in some of these, you understand, occupations? Because some of our clients always ask us, why are we not doing this, why are we not doing this? Do you have a higher chance of getting to be qualified for some of this? So welcome, Miss Anna Imenike from Enugu. Thank you for joining us today. Now, moving on, let's talk about, again, okay, we have said, talk about the eligibility, that you must meet all the requirements in the instructions from that particular round of invitation that was done. Now, okay, before we even move on, these are clients from one of our DIY packages, do it yourself. Many people like to go through the DIY, and I do always tell people, I, for instance, I do always say that I went through the DIY myself. I did my immigration from scratch to the end by myself. So you too can also go through the DIY. Do you understand? Now, this is someone that he has been waiting for 3 years under the pool. He first came to us that okay, he wants to actually have a consultation with us. He had a paid consultation. We consulted, explained things to him. After that, he paid for our DIY package. So through our complete Jackpot package, he has been taking online courses there and working on it himself. But he was opportune to get selected July 18, 2024. Do you understand? With a CRS score of 411, 411 under the what? Under the French skilled program. So if you are someone that you don't have high scores, like we have seen all those high scores, 435 for transport, you understand, 437 for agric, 436 for trade, 491 for STEM, you may be qualified to actually get selected under the French skilled worker program or the French language proficiency, you understand, category of the express entry. You may not necessarily need to, do you understand, to qualify, or rather to wait on all other categories. Now, let's move on to factors influencing. How can you even get the CRS? Like whether be it 411, 487, four things and for that, how can you even get the CRS points? What are the things you need to do to get a higher CRS point? If you are already in the express entry pool already and you have low CRS, or if you are not even on it at all, you have not been able to create it, maybe you are working with us or not, you are not yet eligible for express entry. How can you become eligible? Now, there are some factors. There are some factors that we say, because again, we always tell people they are just factors, they are not limitations. There's a difference between factors and limitations. The fact that, like in the number one, when we talk about age, younger candidates score higher points. We have had situations whereby younger candidates were even worse than older candidates. We have had that situation, that your age, you may be young, but at the end of the day, because you don't have what will make you eligible, you still not get higher points. And someone that, like in the case of clients that we talked about in the Quebec immigration last week, where she was like 46. Do you understand? But because she had what it took to get higher points, she got selected, and even some of our candidates that are still younger than her. Do you understand? So they are just factors, they are not limitations. Number two, education. Higher education qualifications yield more points. If you are someone that you have NC and you have BSc, don't just some people will tell me that okay, IRCC, or maybe what they call it now, A.O.S said I should just evaluate my highest degree, so I evaluated just the BSc. You are shooting yourself on the leg, because you won't get higher educational points or you won't get higher points for your educational credentials. You must evaluate NCE and BSc together. It is only if West has stated it clearly on their website that if you have a BSc, you don't need to send secondary school certificate to WAEC. That's understandable. NECO, that's understandable. If you have masters, don't send BSc. If you have PhD, don't send masters, because those ones are much more recognized than the others. But when it comes to different certificates, different diplomas, do you understand? When it comes to diplomas, especially, or certificates, you have to send the two. You understand? Degrees are different from diplomas. Degrees are different from certifications. Do you understand? So you have, if you have SC and BSc, send the two together. If you have OND and PhD and HND, send the two together. If you, it's only if you have masters you don't need to send bachelors. It's only if you have, you also have PhD you don't need to send masters. It's only if you have BSc you don't need to send secondary school certificate. I hope that draws out the point clearly. Now, your language proficiency, high scores in tests, you understand, significantly boost your CRS. Extra points are awarded for proficiency in both languages. That's why we tell people that you may have IELTS, but you may not get selected. Having IELTS and French may boost your selection quickly. You understand, than someone that just have IELTS alone. Do you understand? Even having French alone, sometimes we have had situations that someone that had only French results got selected than someone that have two WAEC, IELTS and TEF. Do you understand? Because again, the stronger point may be on the TEF or maybe on the TCF French results than on the IELTS and TEF combined. If you have band 4 in IELTS, band 5 in TEF, you may not be selected than someone that have band 7 in French alone. Do you understand? But again, having proficiency in the both languages would actually boost your points more. Now, work experience, whether you have Canadian work experience, which is highly valued, or you have your foreign work experience, you can use any of the two. The only thing is that Canadian work experience gives you more points than foreign work experience. But most of you may not already be in Canada working already. So no issues with that. You use the foreign experience you have. If you have a spouse, a wife, a husband, a common law partner, you understand, and you're in a relationship, you have gathered your affairs together. The thing you lack, especially in age, if you lack something in age, your common law partner can help you boost it. If you lack something in education, your common law partner can help you to build it. If you lack something in your language proficiency, the common law partner that you use can help you to boost it. If you lack something in work experience, your common law partner can help you to what? Build it. Do you understand? So that is why it may be crucial. Some of you that you are holding up, you are this. The thing that you may just lack is either a spouse or a common law partner that will boost your points. That may be just the thing that you lack. Do you understand? Now, French language skills, as we said, high proficiency in French, high proficiency. We're not just talking about proficiency, high proficiency. Like I talked about that person that had band 7 get selected, and someone that had band 5 not get selected. High proficiency in French can add bonus points, especially if the candidate also has an English proficiency. Now, Canadian education, if you have completed a degree, diploma, or certificate from a Canadian post-secondary, you understand, institution, it can add points. If you have a job offer, especially now, something about it is that this number 7 to number 9, it may be very difficult for people to get. Most times, we don't really even advise it because we didn't get it. Do you understand? We talk about things we can control, not things we can't control. But if you are someone that you have done a Canadian education already, or you want to come in to spend millions, tens of millions of, no problem, be our guest. But what we are trying to say is that if you have a degree, diploma, or certificate from a Canadian post-secondary institution, it can add additional points. And we have had scenarios. There's one, they call it now, one international student I met in Canada that he has 2 certificates from Canada, two diploma graduate certificates. You understand? And he's still not being selected under the express entry. So it is not only about those degrees or those certificates or those, you understand, it's about you being tactical, being analytical, that what do they want, what do I have, what can I use to show my eligibility. Do you understand? To boost my score. Those are the things you need to focus on. Some international students are, you understand, they are more or less stranded in Canada now. Even with finishing degrees, they still have to go back to their own country because they don't meet the quota of what? Of permanent residence. So you having a job offer as well from a Canadian employer can add within 50 points to 200 points, depending on the kind of job you get. Some jobs will give you 200 points if it's managerial, directorial, you understand? But if it is just normal, like admin assistant role, data science role, data analyst role, lawyer role, it may just be 50 points. Some people don't know that 50 points or 200 points. It is not all the cases you have 200 points. Now, if you have a sibling in Canada too, who is a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, it can also add an extra points to you. And provincial nominee program, which is the one we talk about mainly, because if you look at it itself, it is the one that even gives you the highest points. Job offer is good, but it doesn't give you the highest points. Siblings are good, it doesn't give you the Canadian education. It is good, but it doesn't give you the highest points. If you really want to go into something that will give you rest of mind, something that you know that yes, it is only if they follow you from house that your village people are after you, that they won't select you. Go through the provincial nomination, because it will give you 600 points. And as I showed you my own 600 points, they didn't want them well not to give me ITA with over 1,000 points. How many points is the OCRS score? Maybe just 1,002, and I got 1,048 or something. So with that, it showed that I even went above, and I didn't have to come to Canada first to school. I didn't have to come to Canada first to work. I didn't need to get a job offer. I didn't need to do any of those things. Life from my own. That's why I tell people, sometimes you even writing IELTS the second time, the third time, the money you waste in terms of doing those exams, it is not comparable to the monies and the times you waste when you come into Canada to come and be getting a degree, or come and be, you understand, working, or come and, it may not be, it is not the same. It's not the same. You understand? It's different. So these are the insights for you to use to know the key factors impacting your CRS scores. And we are going to also be talking about the strategies on how you can enhance your profile for higher chances of receiving an ITA. So skills transferability, the last one is that this factor, it evaluates the candidate's ability to transfer the skills they have from their home country to the Canadian labor market, like in combination of the education. The education you have in your country may be enough for you to get PR. It's only if you want to waste time and waste money in another man's land. Your foreign work experience may be enough. You may not need Canadian work experience. Do you understand? To actually get your PR. Now, let's talk about, I've been talking extensively about provincial nominations. Let's now go in depth to the interlink between PNP and express entry. What is that interlink? Now, these PNPs, the PNP programs allow provinces to nominate individuals who wish to immigrate to Canada and settle in a particular province. For instance, I was selected by Ontario, and I am settling in Ontario. I am staying in Ontario. I have no issues with Ontario. Do you understand? So, candidates with a provincial nomination, the tip about it is, if you have a provincial nomination, you are more prioritized than all other people that are in the express entry pool. Do you understand? You are, even if they have higher scores, do you understand? Their scores cannot be up to your own, that is 600 points. You understand? So they would ensure a faster processing. That's why some people always ask me, how long can processing of permanent residence take? We'll say 6 months or less. Why? That is after you have gotten your nomination for, you understand, the calculation, and because they will prioritize you first before they actually focus on all other applicants, because you have a higher likelihood of receiving ITA, and you have a higher likelihood of being beneficial to the province that actually nominated you. Number two, major provinces, many provinces have express entry aligned streams. That means the enhanced provincial nominee programs, which we have talked about in some of our webinars before, that meet particular criteria for you to receive that nomination through express entry, just like I received mine through Ontario. Another thing is that candidates in the express entry profile, in the express entry pool, can receive a notification of interest. Before you receive the nomination, you will receive a notification of interest from the province first to show that yes, you meet the province criteria. It is when you now meet that, when you now receive that notification of interest, they will now tell you to apply directly to that province first to get your provincial nomination. Though some PNPs, which is the last point, they don't allow candidates to apply directly to the province for nomination. You understand? They would be the one that would work on your application separately, not linked to express entry. But if again it was successful, if you get the nomination from that province, you can now go and create an express entry profile. You know, my own, I said I had an express entry profile before, but some people may not even be able to create an express entry profile before because they don't qualify. But when they apply to a particular province, it is that province that will give them nomination, that will not tell them to go create the profile because after they did the nomination, they were now eligible with their over 600 points. I hope you get that. Now, let's talk about some of the policy changes when it comes to immigration, Canada immigration. Some of the policy changes we have been seeing, you understand, on the especially from Mark Miller, the Minister of Immigration in Canada, talking about, you understand. Now, firstly, targeted draws. We have talked about the targeted draws, category-based draws, the ones that focus on a particular occupation, a particular skill, or a particular region, like provinces, PMPs, especially when they are drawing from healthcare, from Haiti, from francophone candidates. And this brings about lower CRS cutoffs for individuals in specific groups. So you may not need to focus on the general draws or the PMP draws or the Canadian Experience Class draws itself, the one that is for people that are in Canada. You may just focus on the ones that have lower scores. And as I've showed you, there are some that have lower scores than the others, which we are still going to show you some predictions over. Now, changes in language requirements. There have been some adjustment to language requirements. Do you understand? Especially for TEF Canada examination. But again, if you are someone that you are bilingual, if you have taken the test or you want to take the test, it can help you. And it can also help Canada to promote French-speaking immigrants, you understand, in particular provinces. So candidates with strong language skills or those that are bilinguals may actually see an improvement in their CRS score and likelihood to get ITA. But now there has been some increase in the immigration targets and programs. Before they were saying, okay, at least 500,000 people will enter Canada in 2024. We have not really seen the statistics, even though they said per day 1,234 immigrants are arriving into Canada per day. But again, we don't know the statistics yet. But something is sure, especially for the programs. They are saying that apart from the lower CRS cutoffs, apart from the higher targets, they are going to be introducing new pathways like the direct permanent residence caregiver program and the express entry tier 4 and 5 low skilled worker routes. Now, these are programs that they have not yet talked much about. They just hinted their, you understand, desire on the news. So we are still expecting to hear from them. Do you understand about the policy changes? If they will be leaving the categories that we talked about before and the different invitations, or if they will be adding to it, they are still going to be telling us in weeks to come the ones that, you understand, they want to add. But we want to just say that focus on the ones that we are talking about now if you really want to come into Canada, you understand, this year or next. Now, express entry predictions. This is one of the major things of this webinar, because one of the things that we try to do a lot at A.O.S Abroad, and many people actually try to do, is to kind of predict and analyze that, okay, how can we or what can we expect in the near future? What can we expect in the nearest weeks from Canada? You understand, when it comes to their selections of candidates. And if you look at the trends, predicting future trends in express entry would actually be from you analyze historical data, you understand, in order to get what will happen in the future. You analyze what the current government priorities are and the economic and social factors, the needs of provinces, the needs of Canada itself, and how exactly they are willing to, you understand, bring in people. So categories in 2024 can also be likely categories they will give or they will continue in 2025 based on the news that they stated that yes, they are expecting to actually leave the categories like this, which is the 6 categories: the French language proficiency, the healthcare occupations, the science, tech, engineering, and math STEM occupations, the trade occupations, transport occupations, and agriculture and agri-food occupations. So there are likelihoods that they will even leave it till 2025. But something that we have noticed, that the draws in total, especially if you look at from last year July to this year, and if you look at from beginning of January to even this time, for those that have seen the draws, we are in July. Yes, we're in August. We're in August, and there have been about 6 different draws. 12 different draws from July last year till now, and from what they call it, the beginning of this year till now, we have had about 5 to 6 different draws. And again, we are still expecting for French language proficiency 5 to 6 different draws. Invitations to be issued for each of those draws, we are expecting it is going to range from 2,175 plus or minus. It can be more than that, it can be less than, because nobody knows the accurate numbers. We don't know the accurate numbers. We can just give some calculated guesses based on what we have seen happen from time past. And the lowest invitations that we have seen that could occur, do you understand, under the French language proficiency is from 380 to 419. You understand? Those are the ranges of jobs. So if you are someone that, okay, you are working on your CRS, or you are working on your express entry, or you are already in the express entry pool and you expect to get selected, if you are in this, you understand, CRS, you can have more assurance that, okay, yes, if you are within 380 to 419 or 420, yes, they can actually pick me in their subsequent draws. Do you understand? And the observed timings that we have observed past, for the past draws that they have done some draws that within 1 week, just like I showed you in the previous slides, they selected people. Within 2 months, they selected people. So you can be rest assured that in August, they will select people for French language proficiency, even till December. That means August, September, October, November, December. Because we said, yes, draws in total we're expecting is 5 to 6 draws. And if you look at it, if we say every month they are drawing one, even though sometimes they may draw in a month twice, but if we say they select people once in a month, that means August down to December, we should be expecting at least one draw from French language proficiency, which is a very good statistics to actually back up based on the past what they call it, the past draws. Now, number two, the healthcare occupations. We can have 2 to 3 draws based on the previous, because within last year July, or last year June to this year July, they were just 2 to 3 draws. Do you understand? So again, we are expecting again 2 to 3 draws. It may even be lower than that, but within last year rather to this year, we saw 5 draws. So we are expecting 2 to 3 draws this year, as in from this August. In fact, we're expecting it in July. Do you understand? But again, let's say July to September, we should get 1. Do you understand? Or even more than 1, it can be 2. But and the interval may be within few days within each other, or even 7 months, because again, we have seen in the past that sometimes it will take about 7 months before they actually pick anybody. Do you understand? So just put that into notice. Now, number 3, the science, tech, engineering, and mathematics STEM occupations. That one has been very competitive. The last year we just saw like 2 draws, 1 to 2 draws. It wasn't more than that. So even this August down to next what they call it, down to the end of the year, we may just have just 1 draw, 0 draw or 1 draw. Is that bad for that science, that STEM occupation? So, and the CRS will be higher, will be 486. It is unlike the healthcare that we are still expecting like 425, which is still a little bit okay. You understand? I would say French is the best. Do you understand? Number 2, the healthcare is the better. Do you understand? So, but the STEM occupations, I find it difficult, the one to choose, even with the STEM, the trade, occupation, transport, and agriculture. But again, the interval is 3 to 4 months. And if you look at the last STEM they have drawn, it has been long. Do you understand? So we should be expecting within July, August, or late September, depending. For trades occupation, similarly, 0 to 1, 416 is the lowest we're expecting that to be within 3 to 6 months interval, either October or either December, depending on how they want to, or within even October to December, it depends on. But again, just know that the interval of when they select is always within 3 to 6 months based on the past data. Now, the 5th transport occupation, 0 to 1 as well. You understand? So you know basically that, okay, if they don't select transport, or let's say they select transport occupation this August, and they select 433, and you were not aware or you were not prepared, you know that most likely they may not select any. We may be wrong with our analysis, we may be wrong with our predictions, but from what we have seen in the past, they may not. This thing is all about calculation, but they may not select, as they say, data don't lie, numbers don't lie. They may not select apart from 1, you understand, 1 draw later on this year for transport occupations. Do you understand? And they were meant to have selected since May, July, but May, July has passed now. We're expecting in the near future, maybe August, but we don't know the accurate time because the analysis have actually been different, or the the interval between the draws have been different. So it's not again the 2 months that we were expecting. Now, agriculture and agri-food occupations, those that are in that niche, you may have a low scores of CRS like 392, which is a good one, but many people that even people that are old, people that are 40 years, 50 plus can have 392. People that are old can have 380, like the French one. Do you understand? But again, you need to show that you really have that agriculture or agri-food occupations. You understand? And June to August was when we were expecting the draw. We didn't see the draw, but again, we're optimistic that around this August we should see something. So for me, if I'm to choose the best what they call it category, I would definitely choose the French language proficiency. And that's why we as a language school, we are training people to actually learn French and to take these examinations, because even if you are not even selected this year, 2025 as well, we are getting news that of course they want to actually continue. So you may have that double opportunity or added opportunity to actually prepare very well for French, get your language scores results, and use it to apply. So number two, which is the better category, the second place is the healthcare. If you look at it, this was how it was even selected by IRCC, you understand, on their website. So they may be giving us some hints that if you want to focus on getting into Canada as a permanent resident, focus on French. They may be giving you a hint that, okay, if you fall short of French, then healthcare will be your next option. Do you understand? The third one, even though, yes, I was into STEM, I came into STEM, I want to put STEM at the third best option. But with what is happening now, with STEM not being selected, I'm kind of, and because again, the CRS score is much, many people may not have that lowest CRS score, 486. So for that, I would pick agriculture as the best option. That if you fall short of French, if you fall short of health, you may actually look into agriculture. These are my own opinions. I may be wrong, but these are my opinions based on what I've seen happen. So lastly, how do you prepare for an express entry draw? How do you prepare? If you are someone that, okay, you want to get selected by Canada to actually come into the province by IRCC, firstly, you need to optimize your CRS points, your CRS score. So language proficiency is very important. If you have taken a language test before, maybe IELTS for instance, you may need to retake. That is if you want to focus on federal government selections. Do you understand? If you want to focus on federal government selections under the express entry, you may need to retake your language test. If you have taken IELTS before, you may need to retake IELTS, or there's no compulsion that because you did IELTS the first time, you should continue with IELTS. You may do self-pip. Like some of our clients, they did self-pip. One person had about band 6, another person had about band 5 or so. But the idea is that they tested another language test. And with that, we are still hoping that even they that even did self-pip, they did band 6, they still have about 390 something, I think 391 points or 97 points. We are still expecting that in the next draws, they will get selected. Because why? They still tried, and these are people that are 50 plus years, 40 plus years. They can still get selected under express entry, either through, as I said, the French language proficiency, the healthcare, or the agri-food or agriculture occupations. Do you understand? But you may need to improve. These are someone that they have taken IELTS before, they took self-pip the second time. So you may need to improve. PT is another exam of IELTS of English. TEF Canada is for French, TCF Canada is for French, and you may need to actually get better scores for higher proficiency in the English or French to boost your CRS score. Number two is the education. You may need to obtain an educational credential assessment for additional degrees or diplomas. Higher educational qualification translates to more CRS points. Some of you that have made the mistake, we have had clients that have made the mistake and say, okay, they just submitted their bachelor's. You may need to submit your NCE to get added points. You may have even done NC and OND. You have to submit the two together. Some of you even do associate diploma and bachelor's, or associate diploma and OND. Submit the two together. Do you understand? So that you get added CRS points for doing that. Now, and if you have done one before, you can just upgrade your A.O.S report. There's something they call when you go on your A.O.S portal, you can just upgrade your A.O.S report by adding a new credential to it to get added points for the CRS. Now, work experience, you may gain more relevant work experience. Some of you don't even know that your work experience while you were studying in school may also count to help you increase your CRS point, maybe for part-time. You understand, occupation. You may add that to it. Some of you may feel that, okay, because I was an administration assistant in one place, I was now an admin officer in another place. It doesn't work. It may align, it may have the same skill set. So you may use and add up those work experience together to increase your CRS point. If you have 3+ years experience, good if you are young. But if you are old, you may need 6 years plus, 8 years plus work experience to get added CRS points. Don't sleep on that. Now, spousal factors, if applicable, you may actually improve your own scores by helping or by getting a spouse or a common law partner to help add up to your language scores, your education, your work experience. You understand? Not to get added overall CRS points. Now, number two, target provincial nominee programs, PNPs, is very important. You need to research. If you are doing it yourself, you need to research and identify and target PNPs that aligns to your own skills and experience, because each province have different criteria and streams. Now, also express your interest. Indicate your interest into the provinces by, you understand, basically creating an expression of interest, you understand, and applying to actually receive a provincial nominee program. Many of the provinces will charge you, they will collect money for the application. It's not free, but some are free depending on the one you want to apply for. Now, you need to stay informed, which is very important. Monitor the draws, just like I've showed you some of the things you should be looking at. Monitor the draws that they are actually picking in Canada. Do you understand? Regularly check for updates on express entry draws and even on PNPs. Don't just focus on federal government draws, because that may be too unattainable for you to, you understand, reach. You may focus on PNPs as well in order to actually get selected. And especially if you are working with other people that are monitoring these things, you may not really need to worry, you understand. But also be aware, some of these live sessions and webinars we are doing is for you to know the latest trends and to know the draw results in order to help you get prepared. Government updates, follow the announcement. Announcements are different from programs. I do tell people, announcement that, okay, yes, there will be a new caregiver program. It is just an announcement. They have not started showing the program. They have not started creating the portal, or they have not yet opened the portal for applying for the, you understand, new caregiver program or for the new tier 4 and tier 5 programs. You need to wait on when they show you that, yes, they have started those programs before you apply, or before you start saying, oh, alpha distance. It takes time for provinces or government to show a program and to start accepting applications. They don't accept applications as soon as they say a program will start. Do you understand? But again, always be attentive for all those changes in policies and criteria. And lastly, improve your profile continuously. Regularly keep your express entry profile updated. You understand? With your new qualifications, if you have a new A.O.S or ECA report, your new work experience, if you can just add more years to your experience, your years of experience, with new changes in personal information. If, for instance, you have gotten a common law partner or you have gotten a new language test result and you want to add up to it. And lastly, profile review. Periodically review your profile to ensure all information is accurate and complete. I remember the person we talked about, Mr. Obi from DIY. This is someone that he has been on the pool for he has been renewing for 2 years his express entry, because it will expire. He will open the express entry, but he never sought a second high to it until this year. It was when he sought a second high to check his profile, he realized that there are some points he should have actually added, he didn't add. So you actually getting a second high into your profile may actually help you improve on your profile application. So I hope that answers the question. Okay, I think we have a question from Mrs. Monirat. Okay, she's asking, when you are nominated by a specific province, can you later change to another province of your choice? Now, good question. Now, okay, let me put it this way. For instance, Ontario nominated me. Do you understand? And I have paid Ontario as at then 1,500 Canadian dollars to nominate me then, to process my application. And they will always put it in their website that once you are paid, note that it is not refundable. So the question I will ask you in turn is that, are you okay to actually apply to a province, you understand, and you get that nomination from that province and reject it? You are at the liberty to reject the nomination. You are at the liberty, if you have the money, one, and you have the time to wait on another province, because that process you have completed from one province, you have to start it again with another province. So are you okay paying the sum of, like in the case of Ontario, 1,500 Canadian dollars? That was, or that now would be roughly like 2 million naira in Nigerian currency. So are you okay with leaving that money to that province now? Okay, you gave me nomination, but I don't want to come out to your province again. Let me go to a province of Quebec. So you leave that money, and sometimes for them to even approve of you, it may take 3 to 4 months for them to approve that, okay, oh, they want you to come into Canada. So you leave that province and you now apply to, and if you are okay with the time, if you are okay with losing the money, then no problem with that. You can actually change to another province. You should not expect that because you say you want to change to that province, Ontario should not give you back the money. There's no refund though. There's no refund, and the time that you have wasted, or also you cannot get back the time. But if you are okay to actually lose on those both sides, then definitely you can switch or you can change to another province of your choice. So that's a good question. Do we have any other person ask his or her own question before we call it? Oh wow, 1 hour 15 minutes. We're done. I've had a lot of time. I've taken a lot of time today. If we have any questions, drop it on the comment section. If you don't have, even after this webinar, you can always ask your questions on the comment section. You understand, and we'll do justice to respond to it. Okay. Mrs. Maureen is asking, I guess what she meant is when you enter into the province that nominated you, can you change? Okay, this is good. For instance, let me put it perspective again. For instance, now I am in Ontario. I was nominated by Ontario. I came into Ontario. The first thing you need to do when a province nominates you is to come into that particular province. Because if you don't land in that particular province and start to what they call form a residency, like form, because why do they tell you to come? Is for you to stay in their province, work in their province, study in their province, live in their province. Do you understand? So the first thing is you need to first of all stay in that province, like land in that province. But let's assume that okay, I landed in Ontario and I look for job, I not see job, and I'm someone that okay, I don't know how to start up a business. I'm not educated on what to do. I'm not. You can, by virtue of that, leave that province. I cannot sustain myself in this province. So this province, I'm just spending money. I am not making money. You can leave that province. You understand, and go to another province. But you have to also inform the province that you have tried to look for and you have to have proof of all these things. That you have tried to look for a job, you did not see job. You have tried to even study. The money of the tuition of this study, that is if you want to study, it's not compulsory to study. You understand? But you cannot afford the study. You have tried to do this, you cannot do it. You can leave the province and go to another province and go and settle. Because as a permanent resident of Canada, you have the liberty to live in any province. The only thing is that a province that selects you can withdraw their nomination. If they withdraw their nomination, even after you have landed in Canada, oh boy, you have to get another nomination or go back to your country. So you have to be particular that okay, you see, just like the first question that okay, can I apply for another province nomination? Yes, if you qualify for another province, or yeah, apply for that province, get nominated for that province, and go to that province. But you have to be tactical in everything so that you don't do something that will not affect you, that at the end of the day they will not withdraw their nomination, because their nomination is still valid, especially up until when you get citizenship. Is when you now get citizenship, maybe after 3 years of staying here in Canada, you now feel that fuck this province, Jai. That's when you can leave the province, you understand, and go to any province. Some provinces will say stay here 1 year before you leave. Some will say stay here 2 years. Some even within that 1 year you can leave, but there must be proof of you showing that yes, you cannot afford to live in that province for you to leave. So I hope that answers the question. Okay, Mr. Ahmad, you say, may Almighty God help us. Yes, by God's grace, may God help every one of us. So, Mr. Chinedu, can we get this document? Okay. Well, we don't give people our what they call it, our slide documents, Mr. Chinedu. We don't give them, but because I think yes, he is one of our clients. You can get our documents. You can, maybe that's what that's another thing would give our own clients, just our clients. So you can get the documents. You would go on this website, what do you call it now? Company website, ftc.aosacademy.com. So go on that website. You may not see it now because we are still having the live session. We are still having the live session, so you may not see it now. But maybe like in some few hours or maybe next tomorrow, you are going to see. Firstly, this presentation is going to be added to the episode. I think episode 9 of our live sessions we do have every week for all our clients. And two, we are going to also add the PDF. Do you understand the PDF of not just this? Because I think many people may want to also ask of previous episodes we have had. You understand? We may also had. We're not yet sure. We may also had it. So, should in case you need those PDFs, it will also be of great benefit to you. All right. So, Miss Maureen said yes. Oh, okay. I think that was the question she's asking. Okay. With that, do we have any questions? If we don't have any other questions, maybe we'll call it a day. We have really spent much time on this. And if you even have other questions later on, just drop it on the comment section or ask on our group for those that are clients. Thank you very much and do have a lovely day ahead. Bye for now.